At the beginning of the episode we are shown two father and son. Basara is the main character of our story. Basara's father asks him if he wants a little sister. Basara clearly refuses. Then Basara's father tells him that you had said 10 years ago that I want a little sister. On this Basara says that I do not remember anything like this, and anyway it is 10 years old. Then someone comes to the restaurant. Basara thinks that his new sister has come. Basara gets very nervous here and starts leaving from here, making the excuse of his father going to the washroom. When Basara is going to the toilet, he is thinking that father and I are the only two people living in the house, and after mother's departure, father has not remarried for many years, so where did this younger sister come from suddenly? Basara is thinking all this, and while thinking, he opens the door of the washroom. Then in front of him a red-haired girl is covering her two big breasts, and Basara's eyes fall on them. After seeing such a wonderful sight, when Basara turns his gaze to the other side, he sees a note on the door. It was written in this note that the door of the washroom is bad. Please knock and go inside. After this, the girl takes her breath in so that she can scream loudly. Then Basara puts his hand on the girl's mouth and tells her that please do not scream. It all happened by mistake. The girl understands what Basara said. Now as soon as Basara removes his hand from her mouth, the girl slaps him hard. Just then Basara's father comes here with a little girl. Here Basara's father introduces them all to each other, where the little girl tells her name is Maria, and the red-haired girl tells her name is Mio. Basara's first meeting with his two sisters was very embarrassing, due to which he is a little sad. After this, we are shown Basara sleeping in the next scene, where when Basara opens his eyes, he sees that Mio is sitting on him and is jumping, due to which Mio's watermelons are shaking a lot. Then Mio is called Basara. A dangerous game is seen from Mio's bedsheet, seeing which she gets angry. Basara stands up and his foot gets stuck in the bedsheet, due to which Basara falls on Mio. Due to this, Mio puts Basara's walnut in her mouth and gets angry and leaves from here. Now Basara remembers what his father told him, where he tells that Mio and Maria's mom has gone out of the country for a long time, due to which now we have to take care of them. After this, Basara comes down and starts drinking milk from the fridge. Then Basara sees Maria in very short clothes and gets surprised. Here Maria behaves a little differently with Basara and tries to stand up Basara's tool, but then Basara's father comes here. Mio also follows them, where Mio blames Basara for yesterday's incident. In the next scene, everyone takes a family photo together. After this, Basara and Mio go to the market and are coming home with groceries when some goons start teasing Mio. Basara comes here and fights with the goons and saves Mio. After coming home, Basara comes to know that his father is going to Dubai for work and they will have to stay alone at home. After Basara's father leaves, Basara comes to Mio and Maria. Now the behavior of Mio and Maria changes a little. She does not give any answer to Basara's words. Then suddenly Mio asks Basara to leave this house, hearing which Basara gets surprised. Maria tells that apart from this world, there is another world, the world of demons, and that Mio is the princess of the world, which means both of them are demons. Then Maria changes her form and tells Basara that we had controlled your father by doing magic on him, and in the same way we will control you too. After this, Maria tries to erase Basara's memory with her magic. After doing the magic, Maria asks Basara to go out, but he does not go. Maria and Mio are surprised that there is no effect of magic on Basara. Then Basara moves very fast and comes behind both of them. Then Maria attacks Basara, but then Basara changes its form and he takes out his sword, which neutralizes Maria's attack. Basara tells that if demons exist, then heroes also exist, meaning that Basara is a boy from a hero clan. Well, here Basara wins over Mio and Maria and throws them out of the house. After these people leave the house, Basara talks to his father, where his father tells that Mio is the daughter of a demon lord named Robert. Robert was killed 1 year ago and now the demon lord is killing Mio. Mio has not yet gained all her power, hence she can be killed at any time. Then we see that Mio has been attacked by some demons. On the other hand, Basara leaves on his bicycle to find Mio. Mio and Maria are fighting the demons here. Suddenly a demon attacks Mio and throws him down the hill. Mio's life was in danger and he was about to die. But then Basara catches him in the air and takes him down safely, comes and asks these people to go home with him. Further, we see Mio returning home and taking a bath in the bathtub while lost in thought. Meanwhile, Maria asks Basara why he saved them when they had tried to throw him out of his own house. Basara explains that after they left, he talked to his father, who informed him about their situation. Maria mentions that the hero clan is also keeping an eye on them, making it risky to help. Basara points out that they've been away from their village and clan for a long time. Now, Mio exits the bathtub and begins to towel herself off. During this, her watermelons look very beautiful and attractive. Mio contemplates that if Basara hadn't saved her today, she might have been killed. Basara knocks on the bathroom door and apologizes to Mio. While talking through the door, Mio suddenly feels dizzy and falls. Basara rushes into the bathroom, helps Mio up, and assures her that she can trust him. This starts to build Mio's trust in Basara, but it's not complete. Maria enters the scene, prompting Basara to leave. Now Mio sits in her room, reminiscing about painful memories from her past and looking at a family photo with Basara and his father. The photo is broken. At that moment, Maria enters the room. Mio asks Maria if they can trust Basara. Maria gives Mio a copy of a family photo and mentions that Basara had extra copies made. Maria, using her cunning mind, works to strengthen the trust between Mio and Basara and leads them to another room. In this room, Maria positions both of them to stand face to face in a circle and assigns them a task called the Master and Servant task. Completing this task will boost Mio and Basara's confidence in each other. They agree to do it, and it's a task that can only be performed on nights with a full moon. Tonight is one such night. Maria uses magic to initiate the task, but unexpectedly, a mark appears on Basara's hand. According to the task, Mio should also receive a mark on her hand, and Basara has to kiss it. However, the task goes awry, resulting in Basara becoming the master and Mio his servant. Mio is now required to kiss Basara's hand, but she hesitates, causing the mark to vanish. Immediately, Mio starts feeling an overwhelming desire for romance. A curse mark appears on her neck, which happens whenever she disobeys her master or goes against his wishes. To break the curse, Basara must engage in intimate activities with her until her love juices come out. Following this, Basara touches Mio's body and soon discovers her most sensitive spot, her watermelons. Initially, Mio resists, but eventually, Basara undresses her and continues massaging her watermelons, causing her to lose control, and her love juices flow 9 times. This leaves Maria shocked, Basara bewildered, and Mio exhausted. After the curse mark disappears, Mio takes Maria aside to teach her a lesson. The next morning, Basara, Mio, and Maria leave for school. Along the way, Maria separates from them as she doesn't attend school. Mio and Basara arrive at school, where Basara introduces himself to the class. The teacher introduces Basara to a girl, and after the class ends, this girl hugs Basara. She is very beautiful, and she asks Basara if he has forgotten her. Basara then remembers that this girl is his childhood friend, Yuki. Mio intervenes and separates them, causing the entire class to give Basara strange looks. Later, Basara meets a boy who takes him to the school's terrace, where they have lunch together. The boy mentions that the whole class is upset with Basara because he seems to have won the favor of 2 princesses from the class. Basara clarifies that they are just good friends, and they continue their conversation. When school is out, Maria arrives to pick up Mio and Basara. At that moment, Yuki appears and requests a private conversation with Basara, urging him to stay away from Mio. After this, we are shown Yuki and Basara talking, where Yuki tells Basara that Mio is a demon and you should stay away from him. Then Basara tells that I know and I am going to protect Mio. Yuki has been sent by the people of her village to keep an eye on Mio. Mio and Maria are listening to all these things sitting on the other side. Now Mio is convinced that Basara really wants to protect her, but Mio feels uncomfortable with Yuki and Basara being together, due to which Mio curses. It starts coming back. Somehow Mio controls her feelings and removes this mark. After this, Mio leaves that restaurant. In the evening, when Yuki and Basara are about to go home on their own, Basara says that I am going to protect Mio at any cost, and Yuki says that if anything happens to you, I will not forgive Mio, and then Yuki tells her kills a demon with a sword. During this time, Yuki's cakes are visible. It is fun to see these beautiful cakes. While coming home, Basara brings dessert for Mio and Maria, after which Maria again uses her cunning mind and traps Mio and Basara. She convinces both of them to take bath together. After this, Maria says that now Mio will have to apply soap on her watermelon and rub it on Basara's back. Only then the mutual trust between them will increase, but Basara refuses. Then Mio will have to rub it on Mio's neck. That curse mark comes again. Now, despite not wanting, Mio applies soap on her watermelon and starts rubbing Basara's back, due to which this scene becomes very spectacular. Basara could feel that feeling which every man wants to do. After this, Maria shows more courage and comes to the bathroom with the dessert that Basara had brought, but the cake accidentally falls in the bathroom and hits Basara's hand. Maria starts licking Basara's hand with her tongue, after which Mio also starts licking Basara. Now Basara loses control over himself. He takes the cake in his hand and starts crushing it and applying it on Mio and Maria's body. Basara also massages both of Maria's buttocks and also rubs her ass. On the other hand, Basara also massages Mio's watermelon, and after some time, Mio's protein comes out. Now Basara opens her eyes in her bed and sees that Maria is sleeping with her. Maria says to Basara that your hands are on my butt, will you remove them, and also tells about Basara's strange dream. Then Basara apologizes and asks, how did you know that I was dreaming like this? Maria tells that I was peeping into your dream. The next day, while sitting in class, Mio was thinking about the meeting between Yuki and Basara. Then Basara's friend Yahiro comes and tells Basara and Yuki that both of you have been called to the staff room. Then Mio, Basara and Yuki. She feels jealous after seeing Basara together, due to which her curse mark comes back, and as soon as Basara comes near Mio, she faints. Basara takes Mio to the school nurse, where the nurse tells that he only has a slight fever. Then the nurse is called to the school faculty room, due to which the nurse gives keys to Basara and goes to the faculty room. Then Mio Basara, she asks him to stay with her. When Mio's curse mark is gone, Basara calls his friend Yahiro and asks him to do the assignment, and calls Maria to tell him that Mio has a slight fever. During this time, Basara is buying juice for himself from the machine. Then here, but Yahiro arrives. While both of them are talking, there is complete darkness in this corridor. Basara understands that the demon is coming. That is why he punches Yahiro and makes him unconscious and starts fighting and stopping the demon. After this, Basara goes to Mio, but Mio is not on her bed because Yuki has taken Mio with her to the terrace, where Yuki fights with Mio and tells about Basara's past. Yuki tells that 5 years ago, Basara had to kill some people to save his friends, due to which Basara still has that trauma in his mind. Basara is still not able to recover from that accident. Hence it is very difficult for Basara to fight. Just then Basara comes here and stops both of them. Basara explains to Yuki Mio that you should not fight among each other. Then here comes a very dangerous demon who had a mask on his face, due to which we can see his appearance is not visible. This demon tells Basara that these two girls were discussing your past. Also he tells Demon Mio that after he sleeps, Maria and Basara together fight the demons all night and kill them, due to which he is unable to sleep and struggles a lot. That is why Maria helps Demon during the day. Beats and all this is very difficult for Basara, because if Basara continues to do this, then he will die very soon. After this, Mio feels that he is a burden on Basara. Then Demon calls another demon who has a sword in his hand, and Demon is about to kill Mio. Then Basara comes in between and he takes the attack on himself. Because of this, Basara's blood comes out and falls on Mio. She got very angry after seeing this. After this, we see Basara unconscious on Mio's watermelon. Then the demon tells Mio that this will happen whenever she involves someone in her fights. It was her mistake that this happened with Basara today. Later, Yuki cuts the demon with her sword, who attacked Basara. The big demon just stands there watching. After that, Yuki attacks the big demon, but it is very powerful and unaffected by her attacks. The demon warns everyone and leaves. Later, Mio brings Basara home and tends to his wounds. Maria informs Mio that Basara's pulse is normal. Then Mio leaves Basara's room. Once Mio is gone, Basara regains consciousness. Maria asks him about his condition. Basara explains that he has been trained for such attacks since childhood. With that, Basara reminisces about his childhood, where he trained with some friends by the riverside in his village. Suddenly, a man from the village rushes in and informs everyone that a demon has taken the legendary sword and has become very powerful. The dangerous demon is advancing towards them, killing everyone in its path with just one attack. Then the demon attacks Yuki. At that moment, Basara intervenes to save Yuki, and a massive explosion occurs, causing the demon to disappear, and Basara snaps out of his childhood memories. Later, when Maria enters Mio's room, Mio is not there. It means Mio has run away from there. Now Basara and Maria go together to find Mio. Mio enters a forest where the big demon also appears. Mio doesn't want to cause trouble to anyone anymore, so she fights the big demon. Mio's attacks are powerful, but they don't affect this demon at all. Finally, Mio gets ready to go with the demon, wearing handcuffs. At that moment, Yuki arrives and separates the demon from Mio. Yuki attacks the demon, who is very powerful. The demon attacks Yuki, but she manages to dodge the small attacks. Then the demon launches a big and dangerous attack, making it impossible for Yuki to escape. Basara arrives in between to save Yuki, and an intense burst of light occurs, causing the demon to vanish, and Basara snaps out of his childhood memories. After defeating the demon, they are about to leave, and Maria goes to Mio, crying. Suddenly, another demon appears and cuts through Basara from behind, causing him to fall down. Everyone thinks Basara is dead. Seeing Basara covered in blood and unable to control her anger, Mio loses control of her power and unleashes a scream that kills the demon. Then Basara regains consciousness and sees Mio floating in the air. Basara asks Mio to control her power, but Mio is unable to do so. Mio says the only way to stop herself is to kill herself, otherwise she will destroy the entire city. Basara stops Mio from killing herself and calms her down using his vanishing shift power. In the evening, Yuki gives Maria some medicine for her village and leaves. The next morning, Basara and Mio are heading to school when Basara stops and goes to the school terrace to meet Yahiro. Basara asks Yahiro how he is fine, even after Basara attacked him so much. Yahiro asks what difference it would make if he got injured. Then Basara attacks Yahiro, but Yahiro quickly avoids the attack. Basara realizes that Yahiro is the same demon who attacked them that night. After that, Basara negotiates with Yahiro and offers not to fight. Yahiro agrees to the offer. Then the school bell rings and Yahiro leaves. Basara asks him if he knows who killed Mio's foster parents. Yahiro reveals that a demon named Jagia killed Mio's foster parents and used to have his eye on Mio's position. After that, Mio comes to the rooftop and thanks Basara. Later, Mio tries to kiss Basara, but Yuki arrives. Seeing the two of them fighting, Maria also comes and tells Yuki about the master and servant pact task between Basara, Mio, and her. Maria explains in a flirtatious manner how Basara pleases Mio, and then all three of them start fighting. At that moment, we see Basara's father talking on the phone. When Basara wakes up, he finds himself sleeping with Maria. Maria was wearing a shirt while sleeping with Basara. After a while, Basara realizes that Maria is not wearing anything, and she is completely naked. Maria rubs her breasts against Basara's chest, making him uncomfortable, and he teaches Maria a lesson, making her wear clothes. Then Basara goes to the bathroom, and Mio is standing there in a towel. As Basara approaches Mio, he slips and falls, and Mio falls too. Mio's large breasts end up in Basara's face. Basara enjoys this little incident, but then Basara accidentally bumps into the wall. Then Basara tries to explain to Mio that it was an accident, but Mio attacks Basara with her magic. After that, when Basara is taking a shower, someone from behind starts applying soap to him. Basara turns around and sees that it's Yuki. Basara is surprised to see Yuki directly in his bathroom. Then Yuki tells him that Maria allowed her to come into the bathroom. Yuki is here to go to school with Basara. After that, Yuki insists on bathing Basara. When Basara refuses, Yuki drops her towel, and then Basara agrees. Then Mio comes to apologize to Basara, but Mio gets angry when she sees Basara and Yuki bathing together. Mio's curse mark reappears, and she needs a massage again. Meanwhile, Yuki continues to flaunt her breasts and buttocks without any shame. When Maria learns about Mio's curse mark, she brings a camera to record it. Then Basara pushes her into the bathroom and takes Mio to the room, carrying her. In the next scene, Basara and Yahiro have a barbecue together and discuss things. Yahiro tells Basara that he is bound to a master and servant task with Mio. The way you massage Mio is essential because Mio cannot tolerate all of this. It is necessary for you to give her a massage using your master power. If, for any reason, you cannot give Mio a massage, it can be dangerous for her. Yahiro further explains that if you take the demon Mio with you and do anything inappropriate with her, her curse mark will appear, and at that time, it is necessary for you to give her a massage. If you don't, she could die. While they are still talking, the school nurse, Miss Hayskawa, arrives and enjoys the barbecue with them. After leaving the restaurant, Basara and the nurse go home together, where the nurse tells Basara that he must protect the one he wants to protect under any circumstances. The nurse leads Basara between her two watermelons. After that, we meet Yahiro, who introduces us to a demon named Hyuga, who has come for Mio. After Hyuga leaves, two large watermelons come out from the same place. It is a girl named Zest, sent by the demon lord Zalja. On the other hand, Mio is shown peacefully bathing in the bathroom. Basara and Maria discuss Mio's safety, and Maria explains that she performed the master and servant magic so that if Mio is kidnapped, Basara can use his master power to find her. Therefore, Basara agrees to prolong the task as much as possible. Maria then suggests that the more they massage each other, the more powerful they become. Now Maria starts playing her perverted game again and tries to play it with Basara, where he has to have fun with a girl who looks like Mio. Just then, Mio arrives, and Maria takes her away to teach her a lesson. Meanwhile, we see a demon attacking a normal girl. Then a boy from the hero clan arrives and kills the demon. We find out that they came to Basara's village to kill Mio. Some boys surround Basara at school, and Yuki sends the teacher there because Basara cannot reveal his true identity. After that, Yuki asks Basara to go on a date with her. They were being watched by 3 people from the village who came to kill Mio. These people leave to keep an eye on Mio. In the beginning of the episode, Basara and Yuki go to a mall to shop, where a woman shows them clothes. Basara senses someone's presence but doesn't pay much attention. Then Mio arrives. Yuki asks Mio to choose clothes for herself. After buying clothes, Mio, Basara, and Maria leave the mall and encounter a girl named Kirumi, who stops Mio. Later, Basara, Mio, and Maria wait for Yuki at a location and call her, but they are attacked by some people. The demon is extremely powerful, and Basara attacks it with his full strength but fails to hurt it. The demon overwhelms the 3 of them. Just as the demon is about to harm them, a boy named Takashi attacks it from behind with ice and breaks it into pieces. Takashi is accompanied by 2 others named Shiba and Kirumi, who had taken Yuki with them. They inform Basara that they came to kill Mio, but Basara objects to that. Shiba easily breaks the demon's strong barrier. Shiba suggests fighting inside an even stronger barrier. They said a week later is the time to fight. If Basara loses, they will kill Mio. At night, Basara tells his dad about everything, and his father tells him to protect Mio no matter what, even if it means going against Yuki. Basara finishes talking with his father and practices with Maria and Mio. During a break, Basara tells Mio and Maria about a powerful weapon called Byakko that Takashi possesses. The only way to defeat it is to attack from behind, but it will be challenging because others might be present. Meanwhile, Kirumi explains to her sister Yuki how she became strong when Basara left the village to join this mission. Takashi and Shiba discuss how Basara has become strong, and Takashi remembers his training with Basara during their childhood. At night, Basara sits on his sofa, and Maria comes to him wearing only a towel. Maria tells him that they can have more fun with Mio if he does this, and it will gradually make Mio stronger, building trust between them and making it easier to fight together. Mio overhears this from the bathroom. While talking to Basara, Maria removes her towel and sits on his lap. Afterward, Maria massages Basara and licks his chest. Mio also enters the room. Basara understands that it is not his fault, and that Maria is initiating it. Mio approaches and asks Basara to massage her to make herself stronger. Basara, sitting on the sofa with the lights off, gradually touches and caresses Mio's breasts with his hands. Then Maria asks Basara to put sauce on Mio's breasts, and Basara obliges. They start massaging. Basara plays with Mio's breasts, but Mio tries to stop him. Basara starts drinking the juice from Mio's breasts, and a curse mark appears on Mio's neck, turning from pink to purple, indicating the strengthening of Basara and Mio's relationship. The next morning, Basara and Mio go to school. They discuss their upcoming fight while having lunch on the school terrace. Basara tells Yahiro that if the villagers harm Mio, he will stand against them, even if it means going against Yuki. Yahiro leaves after that. Later, Yuki takes Basara to a storage room in the school and tries to convince him to step back from the fight, as the villagers are very dangerous. Basara refuses to back down. In the evening, the villagers and Basara, Mio, and Maria gather on a road bridge to prepare for the fight. Afterward, Mio and Takashi create a strong barrier together to prepare for the battle. However, Shiba steps out of the barrier first because he is not participating in the fight. Takashi cuts a light pole to start the battle, and as it falls, the fight begins. During the battle, Kirumi lifts Basara up in the air and throws him into the sky. Their attacks are so powerful that the bridge is completely destroyed in a few strikes. Meanwhile, Basara rapidly descends from the sky, and Kirumi attacks him. Basara counters Kirumi's attacks with his sword and lands on the roof of a building, where Kirumi and Basara resume their fight. Mio enters an underground mall where it is dark, and Shiba keeps an eye on everyone from outside the barrier. The atmosphere outside the barrier remains normal, and ordinary people are not experiencing any difficulties. The battle is very dangerous, and it's fortunate that it is contained within the barrier. Mio and Maria chase after Takashi and manage to reach him. Takashi fights Maria first, overpowering her using his Byakko and throwing her away. Then Mio attacks Takashi. On the other side, Basara doesn't want to harm Kirumi, so he fights her from a distance. Basara attacks Kirumi with his reverse blade sword to avoid causing her injuries, but Kirumi retaliates by hitting him with a powerful gust of wind, sending him crashing into the building. There, Basara uses the vanishing shift to counter Kirumi's attacks and throws her out of the building. As Kirumi falls, her clothes tear, revealing an orange. Basara saves Kirumi from the fall. After landing, Basara encounters Yuki, who stands in front of him. Yuki attacks Basara and puts him to sleep using a sleeping essence, and now he will sleep at least for half a day. The sleeping essence is very potent, and despite Basara's resistance, he loses consciousness and falls into a deep sleep. Meanwhile, Mio becomes exhausted from the battle while Takashi overpowers her. Mio and Maria try to escape from Takashi, but Yuki arrives to save them. Yuki fights Takashi, and Maria sends Mio to find Basara. When Mio reaches Basara, she attempts to wake him up. Basara finds Mio in his mind and enjoys her 2 watermelons, which awakens Basara. On the other hand, Yuki continues to struggle against Takashi's powerful attacks. Maria and Yuki can't defeat Takashi. To prevent Takashi from killing them, Basara arrives and saves Yuki. Basara and Takashi engage in a fight, where Basara gains the upper hand. Takashi activates his automatic self-defense system, causing Byaku's spirit to manifest. Yuki uses a special move called Shakuya, and Basara uses his special move called Vanishing Shift to redirect Byaku back to its original position. Their battle concludes. After the fight, Takashi speaks badly about Mio, and Mio slaps him, explaining that Basara also went through pain when he remembered the events that happened 5 years ago. Shiba then approaches them and invites them to come along. Takashi is initially reluctant but gets scared when Shiba fully opens his eyes, revealing completely black and red eyes. Takashi decides to go with Shiba. Shiba reveals that the mission has been dropped, and they will not kill Mio. Shiba, Takashi, Kurumi, and Yuki leave, and the battle comes to an end. The scene shifts to Basara's school, where he finds it quite gloomy because Yuki is no longer in his class. She has returned to her village. At home, Basara takes some items from the fridge and compliments the food's aroma. Suddenly, he hears Yuki's voice coming from the kitchen where she was cooking. Yuki hugs Basara and tries to kiss him, but Mio interrupts them. Yuki reveals that the people in the village have forgiven Basara, and she has been sent to stay there. She shows Basara footage where he massages Mio while placing his face on a watermelon. After seeing this, Mio grabs Maria by the collar. Maria playfully teases Yuki as well, trying to entice her to join the massage with Basara. Yuki starts undressing because she wants to experience the massage. Basara explains the concept of the master-servant task, and after learning about it, Yuki agrees to participate. The next day, Basara, Yuki, and Mio notice everyone staring at them as they head to school, unaware of the reason. It's swimming day at school, and the girls and boys are separated. While changing clothes, Yuki wonders why Mio's breasts are so small. Later, Basara sees Maria on the school grounds. He catches her and takes her to his classroom. Maria slyly takes Basara to the girls' restroom. There, Maria senses something and runs to the terrace, where a boy and a girl are fooling around. Basara stops Maria from watching them and takes her downstairs. Returning, Maria takes Basara to the girls' changing room, where she takes Mio's panties from her locker and puts them on Basara's head. When they don't hear the girls approaching, they hide in Mio's locker and start enjoying themselves. As soon as Mio opens her locker, she is surprised to see them. Later, when everyone has left, Mio teaches Basara and Maria a lesson. Then, Mio's curse mark returns, and she becomes highly sensitive. Maria explains to Basara that this curse mark is different, and Mio needs to be calmed down. Basara has to give Mio a shower. He takes Mio to the shower room and starts wetting her body. Due to Mio's high sensitivity, even water droplets provide immense pleasure. Now Basara starts playing with Mio and her breasts. He licks them and places them between his lips, then puts the shower head between Mio's swimsuit and her breasts, creating pressure that brings Mio intense pleasure, leading to her climax. Finally, Basara frees Mio's breasts from her clothing and embraces her. After all this, Basara packs his belongings with Mio and Yuki. They leave together, and Basara spots Maria secretly meeting with Yahiro. Basara questions Maria about it, but she misdirects the conversation. Then, Maria holds Basara's hand and leads him toward their house, appearing extremely happy. On the other hand, we see a demon with 2 girls engaging in pleasure. The demon's servant shows a video of Mio and Basara, where the demon expresses great joy at seeing Mio's breasts. This demon has a plan, and Basara and Mio are going to be the victims. On this side, Maria, Yuki, and Basara are preparing for the master and servant task, where Mio is also present. Yuki arrives dressed in strange clothes designed specifically by Maria for her. When Basara doesn't notice Yuki, she threatens to take off all her clothes if he doesn't pay attention to her. Maria performs her magic, and Basara gets a mark on his hand, just like before. Basara asks Yuki to kiss the mark, but she refuses, wanting to experience the same feeling he had with Mio during the master and servant task. The curse mark disappears, and Yuki starts feeling sensations similar to Mio. Basara then touches different areas of Yuki's body to find sensitive spots. Eventually, he discovers Yuki's sensitive spots, which happen to be her cake. Basara massages them to give Yuki pleasure. Maria records the whole scene, and he drinks the juice from her fruits. The curse mark on Yuki turns from pink to purple in the first round, strengthening their bond. Later, Maria suggests that Yuki and Mio take a bath together with Basara to further strengthen their bond. Yuki and Mio agree and undress, while a demon watches them in amusement. The next day, Yuki and Mio play dodgeball together, and Basara witnesses their bond growing stronger. Suddenly, someone calls out to Basara, distracting him and causing him to get injured. Basara visits the school nurse to bandage his hand, and she advises him not to put too much pressure on himself and learn to compromise. Basara takes her words lightly and leaves. However, the nurse warns him not to remove the bandage under any circumstances. Basara enters the changing room and meets one of Mio's friends, who was eager to have fun with him. She goes on him, takes out her oranges. Yuki and Mio enter the room and realize that Mio's friend is under someone's magic control. Mio, Basara, and her friend leave together as a curse mark appears on her friend's neck. Mio contemplates why she feels uneasy whenever she sees Basara with someone else. Maria appears and Mio hears a voice. Suddenly, someone casts magic on her, causing Mio to fall asleep. Lady Demon Zest arrives, sent by the demon named Zolja. Basara arrives and fights the demon but fails to catch them. Basara tries to locate Mio using his powers but is unsuccessful. Then, they see a dream sequence in which Mio is having dinner with her parents and laughing. But suddenly, Zolja interrupts and kills her father in a brutal manner. Zolja burns Mio's mother alive as well. Mio finds herself in a dungeon where she encounters Maria. Maria reveals that the people who died were not Mio's real parents. Mio is actually a princess, and her real parents were the demon lord. Maria explains that Mio was sent to protect her. Mio wakes up, finds herself bound in chains, and encounters Demon Zest, who brought her there under Zolja's orders. Zest reveals that she can't escape from her special location. Then, Maria arrives, tampering with Zest's magic and saving Mio from her grasp. Meanwhile, the current demon lord, Leo Hart, tasks Zolja with something. But Zolja had created a barrier to remain undetectable. Zolja joins Leo Hart. Basara meets Yahiro and asks about Mio's whereabouts. Yahiro tells Basara that Zolja has taken Mio to a place where finding her is impossible. Yahiro reveals that he has taken Maria's mother captive. Basara demands Yahiro's help in taking him to Zolja's hideout, but Yahiro refuses. They engage in a fight, and in another scene, Yahiro is shown near Zolja's hideout where that lady demon was guarding him. Yahiro in this form, named Lars, hands Basara's body to Zest and requests Mio in return. Lars informs Zest that Basara possesses immense power and proposes a deal to return Mio. However, Zest kills Lars and abducts Basara. Maria longs for her mother, who is being held captive by Zolja. Zest arrives with Basara and sends Maria along with him. In the next scene, Basara wakes up to find himself bound with chains on a bed. Maria climbs on top of him and starts seducing him. But Basara explains their plan to rescue Maria's mother. Despite the risk involved, Maria remains devoted to saving her mother and sides with Zolja. She then uses her magic on Basara to subdue him. Meanwhile, Yuki searches for Basara in the forest and recalls their plan to save Mio. Returning to Maria and Basara, Maria reveals her secret weapon, a large key that fits around her neck. As she activates it, Maria grows in size and her watermelons increase in size even more than Mio's. Maria invites Basara to have fun together. However, as Maria apologizes to Basara, he breaks free from her spell and moves away. Maria considers using force to stop him, relying on her own powers. While Basara also arms himself with a sword, he refrains from attacking Maria. Nevertheless, Maria continues to attack Basara fiercely, and Zest watches with satisfaction, pleased that Maria is on her side. Suddenly, someone attacks Zest from behind. It's Yuki, who manages to enter the barrier. Yuki launches attacks at Zest, although Zest's strength renders them ineffective. The plan devised by Basara and Yuki is revealed. Basara aims to infiltrate Zolja's base and disable its barrier, enabling Yuki to reach him using their master and servant powers. During the battle, Yuki successfully frees Mio and informs her that Basara has gone to save Maria. Together, Mio and Yuki confront Zest, but she proves to be formidable, making it challenging for them to defeat her. When Yuki's sword slips from her grasp, Mio saves her. Realizing that they are a formidable duo, Zest attempts to manipulate Mio. Zest claims that Basara doesn't love her, suggesting he prioritized Maria's safety. However, Mio sees through Zest's deception and interrupts, asserting that Basara loves both of them equally. As they prepare to clash once more, a large stone falls between them due to Maria's powerful attack on Basara. Despite sustaining severe injuries, Basara persists and approaches Maria. Maria lands another powerful punch on Basara, causing him to bleed from his mouth. However, he still reaches out to her and explains, prompting Maria's fear that if she sides with Basara, Zest will harm her mother, unaware that Mio and Yuki are already taking care of Zest. Eventually, Basara convinces Maria and calms her down. Meanwhile, Yuki and Mio successfully capture Zest. Yuki initially intends to kill her but changes her mind, opting to search for Basara instead. Suddenly, Zalja arrives, causing everyone to freeze. Zalja attempts to kill Zest for failing to guard the palace adequately. Basara uses his vanishing shift to dispel Zalja's magic, launching an attack that ultimately proves ineffective against Zalja's immense power. In response, Zalja casts a strange and powerful spell on Basara. On the other hand, we are shown Lars. Lars is still alive. After this, we see Basara, who is under the control of Zalja, while Maria is sitting on the bed and remembering what Basara said to her. He promised to save his mother. Basara cannot move, yet Zalja approaches Basara and mocks him for being the son of the war god Jin Tojo. Zalja wants to become powerful by taking Basara's power, but Basara attacks Zalja. Basara continuously attacks Zalja with his sword, but Zalja easily avoids the attacks. Basara remembers what his father said and attacks Zalja with all his strength to save his family. Zalja gets upset and punches Basara, causing him to move away and fall. Zalja then attacks Basara with his magical fire. Basara makes the fire disappear with his vanishing shift. Now Zalja becomes more serious. Basara attacks Zalja strongly, leaving a small wound on Zalja's shoulder. In the next moment, Zalja disappears completely, holds Basara by the throat, and throws him into the air. Basara tries hard to free himself but fails, then Zalja throws Basara hard on the ground. Basara stands up with great difficulty and plans to attack Zalja. The next attack was going to be Basara's last attack. Basara senses Zalja's presence and attacks, but Zalja blocks the attack and delivers a powerful blow to Basara, causing blood to come out of his mouth. Zalja then casts a spell on Basara, causing him to have a dream in which he is in bed with Mio, Maria, Yuki, and the school nurse Miss Hayskawa, all unclothed. Maria follows Zalja to the outside world and tries to stop him. Mio is surprised to see Maria in this form. Now Zalja shows Maria a video of her mother, in which Zalja plays a pinching gesture, and then Maria's mother is killed. Upon seeing this, Maria sits down, starts crying, and loses her power. Maria reverts to her older form, but Mio, on the other hand, remembers her parents' death after seeing Maria's mother's death, and she loses control of her power. After this, Zalja starts controlling Mio's power with his magic. Zalja wants to obtain Mio's power, which is why he killed Maria's mother in front of Mio so that Mio would lose control of her power, allowing Zalja to gain all her power. Now Zalja approaches Mio, but just as he is about to touch her, he suddenly stops. Zalja's hands fly to pieces, and Zalja starts screaming in pain, wondering how Mio gained so much power. Then Zalja realizes that it is not her father Robert's power, but Mio's own power. Now Mio is about to kill Zalja when Basara stops her, but Mio does not listen to Basara and says that he killed her parents, so he has no right to live, and his actions put everyone's life in danger. Basara explains to her that she should not get her hands dirty by killing Zalja. Mio agrees and starts crying while hugging him. After this, Zalja runs away, and as soon as he leaves, the magic he cast also ends. Then Maria's mother appears. She is alive, surprising Basara because Maria's mother looks younger than Maria. Lars captures Zalja outside the barrier, and we learn that Zest only managed to kill a dummy of Lars. Lars tells Zalja that he had rescued Maria's mother before capturing Zalja, and she is now free. Lars also tells Zalja that he made a deal with Basara to help him, and in return, Lars would exchange help for Zalja. Then Lars tells Zalja that Mio's foster parents ran an orphanage where many orphans lived, and Lars was one of those orphans. After their deaths, all those orphans became homeless, and now Lars seeks revenge by killing Zalja with his own hands. Meanwhile, Basara and everyone else are about to leave when the surroundings start to change. Zest explains that they are currently inside the stomach of an insect, which has transformed from a fortress into a huge insect due to Zalja's magic. In fact, Zalja brought this insect from the demon realm for his own safety. A drop of acid from the insect's stomach falls on Yuki's outfit, melting the metal, then more insects come to attack them. Zalja tells Lars that it is impossible to stop these insects, and even if Lars kills him, they will never be able to stop them. On the other hand, when Basara asks about the insect's vital organ, Zest tells him that it is impossible to reach there, leaving Maria and her mother behind. Everyone else moves forward together to destroy the vital organ of the insect and escape from its grasp. Again, we are shown Zalja, who reveals his master plan. Zalja explains that there is a dangerous creature that, if killed, will continue to grow and create more creatures like itself, eventually leading to the destruction of the entire world. Zalja claims to have a way to stop it. If he is killed, no one will be able to stop the creature. Therefore, Lars cannot kill Zalja, even if he wants to. Inside the creature, Basara, Mio, Yuki, and Zest are running towards its vital organs. However, the creature is trying to stop them. Mio almost gets trapped in the creature's trap, but Yuki saves her. As they continue running, the path ahead becomes blocked. Zest uses her magic to create a way forward. Inside the creature, there are other small monsters that are attacking them. The group tries to cut down these creatures with their swords, but they quickly regenerate and attack again. Zest manages to create a path, but there are many more dangerous small creatures on it. Yuki decides to stay behind and asks the others to go ahead. Basara disagrees with Yuki's decision. Basara informs Yuki that he can use Vanishing Shift one more time. Yuki believes that using Vanishing Shift on the small creatures will prevent them from killing the big creature. However, Yuki manages to skillfully defeat all the small creatures and clears the way for the others. Basara carries Mio and they continue along Zest's newly constructed path. Zest reveals that they have reached Zalja's private room, where he lived inside the creature. Mio notices demon-like figures on the wall. As she approaches one of them, the demon opens its eyes and grabs Mio's throat. Basara rushes to save her. They are surprised to find multiple demons that resemble Zest. The demons overpower Basara, but Zest comes to his rescue and urges to kill them all. Together, Basara, Mio, and Zest defeat the demons in a spectacular manner. Afterward, Zest creates a new path that leads them to the core of the creature. Destroying its vital organ will result in the death of the creature and in the devastation. Mio and Zest attempt to attack the vital organs, but a protective shield prevents them and the creature retaliates with dangerous acid. Zest explains that Zalja created her as a prototype, and the creature is an upgraded version of her. Zest suggests that she will take the attacks on her and Basara will strike when it'll be necessary, but Mio intervenes. Despite this, Zest takes on the attacks herself while Basara destroys the vital organs using Vanishing Shift. The creature briefly stands before launching a devastating attack that destroys the entire mountain before finally collapsing and dying. Zalja is left shocked. Zest regains consciousness and notices that the mark given by Zalja between her watermelons has disappeared, indicating her freedom. In a basement, Lars has captured Zalja and brought him to his base. Basara arrives and expresses his desire to confirm Zalja's death personally. Lars uses his magic to obliterate Zalja's head like a firecracker. Basara returns home, where Yuki informs him that Maria and her mother are asleep while Mio is resting in her room. Basara checks on Maria and her mother before taking hot milk to Mio's room. As Basara is about to leave, Mio stops him. Basara asks if Zalja tampered with her watermelon, and Mio reveals that he was about to, but they arrived in time to save her. This revelation triggers something in Basara, causing him to lose control and passionately kiss and touch Mio's watermelon. Basara also drinks juice from Mio's watermelon and massages them. Suddenly regaining consciousness, Basara apologizes to Mio. Yuki enters the room followed by Zest. Mio asks when they arrived, and Zest explains that they were keeping an eye on them. Yuki kisses Basara and invites him to have fun with her. Basara manages to escape from the room and encounters Maria, whom he asks to stop both Yuki and Zest. However, Maria herself wants to have fun with Basara and kisses him. Afterward, Maria, her mother, Zest, and everyone else return to their demon realm. The episode concludes with Demon Lord Leahart entering his room and discovering many dead bodies. Basara's father, Jean Tojo, is sitting on the throne. Leahart becomes enraged, and Jean's eyes emit a green light. And thus, Season 1 of The Testament of Sister New Devil ends. If you enjoyed this recap, please subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Goodbye.